Hello teachers, my name is Marta and I'm Deputy Director of Music for MiSST, and my main instrument is the flute. So I'm going to show you how I would deliver a first flute lesson. Obviously there are many ways of doing it, and this is just how I usually do things, and I hope you find that useful. Now, first thing I'm going to tell you about is the different parts of the flute. I think it's important to know the different names, so we can ask students to, just grab the head joint or now grab head joint and body and all that. So the flute, whether it's a plastic flute, so one of those Nouveau flutes, or a metal flute, they all come in three parts, as you can see here, okay? So the first one that they're going to be using is the head joint. That's the one that has the mouthpiece in, okay, so the one with the hole. So this is the head joint. Then we have the body, which is the long one, or middle joint. And finally, we have the foot joint, okay? So the first thing I would ask students to do is to grab the head joint, and we're going to try and make a sound just using the head joint. I sometimes spend the whole first lesson just using the head joint because there's so much we can do. Then on the second lesson, I ask them I teach them how to put the whole flute together, basically. Sometimes, if you see that they can all make a sound and they're really getting it, then it's absolutely fine to move on to putting it all together on the first lesson. But usually it takes a little bit of time. Just so you know, that is the tricky thing about playing the flute and starting it off. It's just getting that sound, because there are kids who get it straight away and get the most beautiful natural sound ever, and some just take ages, and that's also fine. They just need to find their own way of producing a sound. And I always tell the students the story of one of my students who started flute in year 9. He just couldn't make a sound for, I don't know, maybe a month or so, and we're talking about like individual lessons, it's not even group lessons. And he tried, oh my goodness, he really tried. And one day, I think it was, nearly a month later, he came to the lesson and he found a way, and it was a really awkward way, but worked for him. And now he's just finished the Royal College of Music, so he studied flute at the Royal College, just to show, that there's always a way. It's just perseverance and finding their own way. So yes, if they can't make a sound straight away, they shouldn't feel disheartened by it. It is frustrating, but there's still a lot they can do. And also, if you think about it, when you do the performance, the solo performance assessment, there are so many other things to it. I mean, I once did a whole performance assessment with a girl who couldn't make a sound, or barely, and her fingers were there. All the notes were correct, the rhythm was correct, she was tonguing, so in terms of articulation it was all fine, but she couldn't make a sound. So she got a 7 for accuracy, or I can't remember what she got for interpretation, but she definitely got an okay excuse me, an okay mark. And then eventually she did make a sound. So there's just, there's a lot to it. Right, so enough talking. When you're trying to make a sound, the first thing, first of all, the end of the flute should be facing your right hand side. Okay, so the end of the flute should be facing your right hand side. And the other way you can see if you're doing the right thing, so if you look at the hole, you've got the hole here. Oh, sorry, really weird. You've got the hole here, right? And you have this side, and you have this side, and you can see that this is a lot wider than this one, and that's this is where your lip is going to go. Okay, so if you were to put it like that, obviously it wouldn't work. I mean, it would work, but it's not the right position. Okay, so lip will go on the wider bit of the lip plate. Okay, now the edge of the hole closest to you, so this one here, is going to go right under your bottom lip, and this is where, you know, the skin becomes lip, right there. Okay, and that will give you a really good chance of them making a good sound. So you place the edge of the hole there, and if you have a mirror, it helps a lot, because then you can see if it's in the middle or not. Okay, there we go. And make sure that you're always feeling the edge of the hole under your lip, so that there needs to be contact between the edge of the hole and the lip. And I'll show you later what happens if the contact is not there. And then you just blow. It just blows straight across. Now it's not completely across, otherwise it will sound very airy. So it's slightly in this direction, okay? But the problem is that when students start, their tendency will be to blow straight into the hole, and that doesn't help. So try and blow. When I say blow across, they immediately they lift it up a little bit, and that's enough usually. So they need to be aware of air direction, basically. So you find the middle of your mouth, you place the flute just under your lip, and you just blow quite strongly, you know, to start with. I will make another video just on flute tips, okay, and ways to, like, different ways to try and get the students to make a sound, and also how to hold it and all that. But for today, let's assume that, you know, the students get it straight away, and that's it. Now, quick things you can try. You can try and roll in your flute, your head joint slightly. So if it doesn't come out straight away, you can try and make the hole a little bit smaller. Sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes the students are really turning in and nothing comes out because there's no space, you know, for the sound. And then you need to ask them to turn it out. So basically, this is how much the hole should be covered. Okay, there we go. Okay. That's more or less, oh sorry, it's probably too loud. Yes. Now, the other thing you can try, if you tuck, so, and this is to find the middle, the middle of your mouth without a mirror, if you don't have a mirror. So what you can do, you tuck your lips into the hole, and then you turn out your flute, your head joints. There we go. And that should go right in the middle of your lips. Okay, and that's a really good way. The secret here is not to turn it up too far. So always keeping that contact between the edge of the hole and your bottom lip. Okay. There we go. Now, the other thing, so at this stage, if the students can more or less make a sound, we do some call and response, just using very basic rhythms. And at this stage, I start tonguing. Okay, so tonguing, sorry, I'm trying to play it softly. So basically, I'm hitting my top teeth, the back of my top teeth, with the tip of my tongue, okay? So, and it needs to be light, it can't really stop the air, so all it does is this, yeah? You might find that you have to blow a little bit stronger, so the air needs to really go through when they start to tongue. Then they don't, after a while they don't even think about it anymore. But you do need a constant airstream, with some pressure. And usually, I'd say half of the students probably will start tonguing. If you do the call and response tonguing, they will start tonguing straight away without even thinking. Okay, some won't, and then you can do, I'm doing something here that you're not. Can you just hear what it is? And usually they get it. And if the good thing about tonguing in the first few lessons is that it comes much more naturally than if you leave it for later. The moment they start thinking about it, that's when things get a lot more complicated, basically. So yeah, I would introduce tonguing in the first few lessons without even talking about it too much. And if they're really struggling, then you just no flute perhaps, and just going. And gradually they get into it, okay? So then so there are a couple of sounds that you can try with them with a head joint. So I usually do call and response just like that. That's fine. And then you can show them this one as well. And you will notice that it's a completely different way of blowing. So you need to blow a lot more gently. And this type of sound is very similar to the note G on the flute, so more or less the same mouth shape and I'd say relaxed throat and open, just really open here. Otherwise the G won't come out. So if you do the same type of sound, it won't sound as nice. It can really split. So that's the other one. And if you want to be a little bit more playful, you can always do. So there's a lot they can experiment with. And actually the first homework I set them is exactly that. So try and come up with different sounds just using the head joint, and they usually do, and there's a lot they can do. Always encourage practice, like frequent practice, especially in the first month or so. 5 minutes a day is like perfect. They get the head joint, they remember how it feels, and because it's all about remembering, isn't it? And then they quickly move on. Now I'm going to show you how to put the whole flute together now. So we've got our head joint. Usually hold the head joint with your right hand, and they're going to get the body, and they should hold it here, okay, at the very top where there are no keys. So we want to try and put the flute together as safely as possible. And obviously the moment you stop touching the keys, it's not as safe. So the head joint slides into the body, and it should be quite easy to do that. You might have to twist a little bit. If it's really, really stiff, you can use a little bit of Vaseline just here on the joint, and just a little bit, because otherwise it'll be too easy and the flute can actually drop. So a little bit of Vaseline, and that's it. Now, when you're setting the hair joint onto the body, it's really important that the flute is lined up. Okay, so when I say lined up, I mean, let me just line it up first. I mean this hole needs to be in line with these keys here. Okay, So all this key work needs to be in line with the hole. All right, and the way I do it, I just do it like that. It's a lot. Actually, you can see it like that. It's a lot easier. So that's head and body. Now you hold the foot joint. Again, try and hold it at the bottom where there are no keys, and you fit it into the end of the body. Okay, like that. So it means that this whole mechanism here of the foot joint, so this is our foot joint and this is the end of our body, the mechanism here on the foot joint should cross the middle of the last key of the body. Okay, so I'm just going to show you again, like that. Gosh, it's so weird to do it like this. There we go. Yeah, right there. And this is just so your pinky, oh gosh, there we go. This is just so your pinky can reach this key easily. Because if we did it like this, there's no way we can reach the pinky. It would be really uncomfortable. So right in the middle of that key. Okay? So this is our flute all set up. Now, there we go. Holding the flute like that, resting it on your shoulder, and this is probably one of the most complicated bits to explain because the students can't really see and all that. But yeah, you're just gonna have to keep trying. So left hand first. Okay, so the left hand goes at the top, right hand goes at the bottom. All right, and if they already know how to play the recorder, that's really helpful because you just ask them, all right, so how would you hold your recorder, and they immediately do this, you know, left first, right bottom, and then you just ask them to turn it, and it's so much easier. If they don't, that's fine, you know, but you're going to have to go a little bit slower. So left hand first. We've got our flute here. Your left hand index finger will go on the second key here. Okay? So left hand index finger will go here. Then the next finger, you're going to skip one key, you miss one out, and you're going to put your middle finger, your second finger, on this key here. So you miss this one out. Okay? And then your third finger will go on the next key. My flute has holes, it helps, so their flutes will be all covered, okay? Sometimes in the past I've put stickers on the keys that they have to press, and that helps. But soon they will, you know, they will get it straight away. So, there we go. So first finger here, second finger here, miss one out, third finger there. At the back, your thumb will go, oh, there we go, on this key here. So you've got two keys, and you want your thumb to be on the longer one, okay? If you press this one, you're going to end up playing B flats all the way through, okay? And right hand, this is really important, and I can't stress this enough, right hand pinky has to go here all the time for now, okay? So this is the first key of your foot joint, and that's where your pinky has to go. Your other thumb will just help support the flute, and it usually goes right under your index finger. Obviously we're not using the index finger yet, so your fingers should be just hovering, you know, above the keys, but your thumb has to go underneath the flute, okay? And all I'm doing is helping support the weight of the flute. Now, really, really important. This year I started teaching my students G first. So this is G, 1, 2, 3 fingers, thumb and pinky, okay? 3 fingers is G. And the reason because in the past I usually start with a B, okay? But the problem is that they can't create this shape on their fingers. So I need a bit of a hook with index finger to be able to really support the flute. And usually what they do is this, okay, and this won't keep the flute stable at all. So they always feel like they're about to drop it. So make a nice hook with your index finger. That's almost the flute is almost well, my index finger is rather, it's almost underneath the flute, so to speak. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that. So you're just grabbing the flute with that finger basically. Then 2 fingers, 3 fingers. Now when they do the hand position for a G, they immediately have to make that shape in order to reach this key. Okay, so that's why I now start with a G, although it's a harder note to play in terms of tone, and then ask them to go up to a B. Okay, so what I would do at this stage, so this is a G, you can try playing a G, but it's very likely that no sound will come out. I just say that. Some do, and it's great, but some don't. Now with the G, the trick is to blow really, really gently and making sure that they're pressing all the keys firmly. Okay, especially the G. Some flutes have leaky G keys, so keep pressing it down. I know it's not. I mean, it's not ideal, but it's what we deal with, isn't it? So G, and you could do a little bit of call and response on the G, but I wouldn't spend too long on the G, to be honest, and give them time to try it on their own. You know, because it's great to do the call and response exercises, but the students need a little bit of time to work things out by themselves. So I usually just let them try the G, and it's you need to go really, really gently, really as if they, you know, when they warm up their hands, if it's cold, that's the same sort of air we need for the G. And then you move up, you just ask them to lift one finger, and that's an A. And A is a lot easier to play than G. And then the easiest to play in terms of tone quality is B. So this is G, 3 fingers is G, 2 fingers A, 1 finger is B. B. Right, so Busy Bees is usually the first piece I get them to do on the flute. You could also do Toot Toot Song, that's absolutely fine. So Toot Toot Song, they should do it on a B, and Busy Bees obviously it's just B's as well. Now, always make sure that you do these pieces with a backing track, especially the first ones. Otherwise, it gets quite boring. And they, you know, for the first few weeks, you might not hear a lot of sound coming out of the flute. So having the backing track really, really helps. Also, because the first pieces are on B's, yeah, make sure that they feel comfortable with holding the flute on a B. That index finger, that left hand index finger, really working as a hook, really, really helps. The other thing I wanted to mention, practice routine. I know I keep going on about this, but I've changed that in my teaching in the last few years, and I can't tell you that the impact it has on students. And if you think about it, if a student can't make a sound in the first few weeks, and all you do is spend the lesson trying to make a sound, it can get quite frustrating. So I find that going through the practice routine for the pieces gives them a chance to do something that is not just trying to make a sound, you know. So if you go through the Kadai first, the Kadai rhythms first, you say the note names, then you say in mime, and the only step that they actually need to make a sound for is the last step, is the playing. So I often find that it gives them a really good chance of doing something right, you know, when they feel that they can't really blow yet or blow properly. Now the next thing I'd like to do is to clean our flutes and give you an idea of how to do it. Now if you have if you have a Nuva flute, a plastic flute, one of the black ones, it comes with a cleaning rod, so, and a cloth attached to the rod. So that's, in a way, it's a lot easier because you've got both things there, and yeah, that's a lot easier to do. So I'll just show you with my cleaning rod, and the silver flutes will have something like this. And the silver flutes usually come with a orange cloth, I think. It's not great, I have to say, because it doesn't really absorb much. So it's more to polish the outside rather than the inside. But sometimes, you know, it's all we've got. Usually I ask them to try to find something, a cloth at home that is thin. So this is basically a hanky, an M&S hanky, but obviously we can't ask them all to have this. So sometimes they do, but if not, the orange cloth will have to do. So you've got your cleaning stick and cloth. You pull it through like a needle. And for the hair joint, what I usually do, I put this over, so you have a nice cushioned top, because when you, let me just show you. So my flute is here. You ask them to take out the head joint first. You put the rest safely away, and head joint, using that cushion top, it can now go all the way through, as you can see there. This way. You twist it around a bit, and that's it. Okay. And if the cloth is too thick, the orange ones should be fine. But if they find a cloth and it's too thick, there's the risk of the cloth getting stuck inside the flute, which is not a good thing at all. Now, body maybe, or foot, maybe I do body first, and all the way, and the other side. There we go. Again, always holding it where in the bits where you have no keys, just to be on the safe side. And if they have a metal flute, especially if they have a metal flute, they tend to grab all the parts together in one hand, or and they can scratch. I mean, just tell them to hold one part at a time when they're cleaning, just to avoid unnecessary damage to the flutes, and put that safely away. And really, really important, and this case is different, but they will have a zip case, and I can't tell you the amount of times I've seen students putting their flutes away really nicely and then picking the cases up, and obviously the flute falling off on the floor. So make sure that they always zip their cases up, and then they're ready. Right, I hope that was useful. And as I said at the beginning, I will be making at least one more video with practical tips, so a sort of troubleshooting for sound, and probably just holding the flute as well. Right, so I'll probably see you around in our schools, and do get in touch if you need any help with anything, or any more tips. Bye.